911, what's your emergency?
The following content is graphic, emotional, and includes dark humor that may not be suitable for all listeners. Discretion is advised, explicit content included. These stories are based on real life EMS and first responder experiences. The calls are real, the providers are real. Names and patient details have been changed to protect privacy. Episodes may include trauma, suicide, abuse, medical emergencies, mental health struggles, or things your HR department would definitely not approve of. Any advice, opinions, or discussion of medical procedures are based on personal experience and should never override your local protocols, medical direction, or training. Use your damn brain. Follow your guidelines and your local or agency protocols. Follow your training. And when in doubt, call med control. Most importantly, if you're struggling, don't do it alone. Talk to someone, a coworker, a friend, a therapist. Or hell, reach out to me. I'll answer. Need help right now? Text or call 988 or visit 988lifeline.org.
All right, you're listening to Dispatch and Dysfunctional, where chaos has a pulse, burnout has a body count, and shift change is never guaranteed. Today, we're stepping outside the ambulance bay because burnout doesn't stop at EMS. It bleeds into leadership, into boardrooms, into the kind of places where decisions get made that affect thousands of lives. My guest today knows that better than most. Michael Dillard is a retired U.S. diplomat, a veteran, and now a burnout recovery coach who helps high-level leaders stop running themselves and their teams into the ground. He's done multicultural teams across 6 countries, managed over $300 million in budgets, and spent years in high-stakes environments where failure wasn't an option. And behind that polished resume, he was burning out. Now he's turned that experience into his lead with impact framework, and he's here to share what he learned the hard way. Michael, welcome to the show.
I am so happy to be on the podcast. I love the intro, dispatch, and dysfunctional. I love the siren, letting everybody know that leadership is serious.
Yes, sir. So, Michael, you've called yourself the accidental diplomat. For our listeners who live on caffeine and sarcasm, how does someone stumble into being a U.S. diplomat, and what did that life really look like for you?
That is a question I get all the time. I break it down like this. I say, take a look at a person who grew up low income. Mom had him when she was a teenager, a child raising the child herself. Fast forward, I ended up low income, living off of food stamps in high school, trying to survive. We were literally living paycheck to paycheck. Then I get a great opportunity to join Upward Bound. That allowed me to have a goal to get an education, to be the first person in my immediate family to get a high school diploma. That's right. The goal, the standard was to get a diploma, high school, and
Wow.
life would be set. Talk to me, Chris. Exactly.
Wow, man, that's awesome. So you're the first in your family to have a diploma.
Yes, indeed.
That's amazing.
Yes, indeed.
That is
Yes,
amazing.
yes. So fast forward, my goal was to get that college degree so that I can unlock doors that was once closed to me. They said, get the education and the rest will be gravy. They said, get the nice family lifestyle, picket fence, 2-car garage, pet, the whole 9 yards. So I was drinking the Kool-Aid, Chris. I was ready for it.
Hey, that sounds like some really good Kool-Aid there, Mike.
Kool-Aid, the great. They don't even make that stuff no more like they used to. Oh man, I'm telling my age, boy. That pack of Kool-Aid with the sugar. Yes,
pour
indeed.
a little gallon jug, and there you go. You went.
Off you went. Off you went. So that's what I grew up on. So fast forward, I go to college my first year, and then it hit me. I cannot study and work full time. So I joined the Army so that I can be all that I can be. Had a great time, and when they say we do more in the morning than most people do all day, trust me, it is real. That first day of boot camp, I said, what did I sign up for? But I'm going to tell you, I'm so glad I made that decision. It allowed me to see leadership at a higher level. It allowed me to see structure, and it allowed me to have a goal. I realized that in life, if you don't have goals, you'll be lost. Finish the Army. I go back to working at that factory job that I left, Chris, and guess what? I saw some of the same people still on that assembly line. I said, oh my goodness, this can't be me having to raise a family and trying to, pay for kids' college and tuition. I said, Michael, keep pursuing that education, the dream. Make a long story short, I got the degree, graduated. Fast forward, making good money. I am working at Dell Computers, wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops, making good money.
Wow.
And then it happened. My manager came and tapped me on the shoulder. But before she tapped me on the shoulder, Chris, something they told me like 8 months before that. They said, Michael, you need to pivot. You need to develop other skills because you don't know what the future is going to hold. And I told myself, I said, nah, I'm good. They said, okay, you still listening to music in the car with a tape cassette? I said, oh, no. I'm bumping, I got CDs. Okay. You still watching movies on a beta VHS tape player? I said, oh, no. I got DVDs.
Blu-ray.
Yeah, Blu-ray. It's that, right? High tech. So it dawned on me at that point in time. I said, wait a minute. Things change. Technology changed. Your skills need to change. So I went back and got my master's in accounting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And as soon as my manager tapped me on the shoulder and told me, I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go, I said, oh, my goodness, I am so happy. I decided to go back and get additional skills to prepare me for the workforce. Now, to your listeners, you say, oh, you're good, right? You got the job right away? Nope. Month 1, no job. Month 2, no job. Chris, I couldn't get a job, couldn't find one, and my wife is pregnant at that.
Oh.
Yeah. Now,
Insult
life is lifing. Life is lifing. So I started getting desperate. I'm like, okay, let me start applying for any and everything. I'm applying for all types of jobs. Month 4, I finally get an opportunity to go and interview to be an assistant store manager at a clothing store in the mall. My wife's like, nope, don't take it, don't do it. I'm like, look, yes, we did the right thing. I'm financially savvy. I got my life insurance outside of my employment. We got money saved up from 401k. We had our cars paid off. So we were doing all the things I teach about being financially savvy. So she was like, it's not about the money, I'm like, yeah, but the money's starting to go low. I don't want to hit zero. So she like, nah, don't take it. So I go to the interview. My wife's like, I'm coming with you. As I am interviewing for the job, my wife is literally with their stomach hanging out, walking around praying I don't get the job. What type of spouse does that, right? So now,
well, one that's looking out for you in the end, it sounds like.
Yes, it sounds like that. So now I'm good at interviewing because when you work in corporate, there's a lot of nepotism because we're going to pull back the layer. There's a lot of nepotism, favoritism, all types of stuff happens behind the scenes. Sometimes these jobs are already handpicked for somebody. They just make the announcement just to go through the formality. So by me getting a couple job promotions, working at Dale, going through all that, oh yeah, I was more than prepared to pass this interview. So I'm feeling good. I come out smiling, happy, can't wait. We drive home. I'm happy. The next morning, I open up my email, waiting for that job offer. But then I get an email. It says, interview for a financial controller to go and apply to work for United States Agency for International Development. As a financial controller, you got to get on a plane, do an in-person interview. Then it said you have to pass a top secret security clearance. I'm like, what is this? Then, Chris, it says you have to pass a medical background, not only for you, but for your entire family. Now I'm confused. I'm like, what type of job is this? So now I search. And then it's at that moment when I saw the description that said you will be given a diplomatic passport to represent the U.S. taxpayers abroad. It was at that moment that I realized I'd accidentally applied to be a U.S. diplomat. And from that moment on, I passed the interview. My family and I, we traveled to the Dominican Republic, worked and lived there. Zambia, I did Afghanistan by myself. The Dominican Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, then off to South Africa and back in the United States of America, where I eventually retired.
All right. That's very interesting, right? That's So I know in your form you filled out for me, there was one day in Afghanistan that you met with foreign ministers, and there was a bomb scare that locked down the compound. Tell me about that one.
All right. So it wasn't that it locked down the compound, Chris. I'm outside the compound at a minister's office in Afghanistan.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, picture that. I left the heavily fortified 100, I'm saying at least probably 500 people carrying machine guns walking around nonstop with heavily fortified machinery and equipment. But now I'm in a small little Toyota car pickup truck driving down the street in the city of Afghanistan to go meet with the minister. Oh, so as I'm meeting with the minister, here's the story. All of a sudden we hear a boom. Security rushes into the room and they're like, hold on. They radio, they're trying to figure out what happened. Then they were like, oh, yeah, bomb went off, but it was like miles out. We're good. You can stay. Let's just move you to another room. I'm sitting there, okay. If it's whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be, Chris. Then
Right.
now they moved me to another room, but they said don't. Well, I'll tell you security stuff. So basically, you don't want to be by a window, as you know. You do not want to be by a window. So they made sure they had me in a room that had no windows. Now I'm in there trying to conduct this meeting on behalf of the U.S. government, right?
Right.
How are we going to partner with the Afghanistan government on projects and et cetera? All of a sudden, we hear machine guns outside. Oh my goodness! I hit the floor. Bam! I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, this is not happening. Security comes in, swoops me up. They're like, no, we are getting out of here. They put me in the truck. We drive off fast down the street. We get back to that heavily fortified gate. And I was like, oh my goodness. Woof, woof. And this is one thing I realized about leadership. You know, sometimes you don't have to make all decisions. You need to depend on others to make sure that they're doing their jobs properly, which means that the security forces were empowered to do their job. And guess what? I was a willing follower.
Oh, I bet, especially in that circumstance right there, you have to be. And
Have to be.
like you said, even in a leadership role, I haven't dealt with that kind of things, but I know as the leadership responsibilities I've dealt with before, if you don't trust your people to do their job, you're going to micromanage it. You're going to make it worse. You're going to make their jobs worse. You're going to make their lives a living hell. Pardon my French on that one. But you're going to make it so bad for them and your other crew members or teammates that you don't even realize it.
Yep.
I've had leadership on the ambulance that I would call for backup and they'd be like, oh, you don't need nothing. You're good. I have no weapons. I have nothing, but yet I'm sitting here with a guy with a gun in my face. So how do I not need assistance? But again, that falls back to, like you said, leadership needs to understand leadership leads and also can learn from their minions, if you will.
Yes. Yeah. And speaking on that point that you made about, so people are wondering, Michael, what happened with the project then? I entrusted my local team to continue to have the face-to-face meetings. They gave me updates. I read through the reports, and that comes down to empowering the right people.
Exactly. The right people make leadership so much easier.
So much easier. Leaders don't always have to be at the meeting. They don't always have to be on that Zoom call.
Right. So just follow-up question. What was your first overseas assignment, and what was the biggest shock of that one?
The Dominican Republic was my first overseas assignment as a U.S. diplomat. And something that shocked me was that I was on a detail. Details basically, we have this event or project or ceremony or something happening, and we need 10 people to volunteer and do different things. Being the newest person, the newest diplomat, at the location, well, guess what? You're going to be picked to be on detail. This is how it goes, right? Rank has its privileges. So this particular detail, they gave me the assignment there was a high-profile U.S. government official coming into the country to meet with the Dominican government. My job was one that I said, wow, this is my job? My job was to make sure that there was a room set aside for this high profile dignitary and to make sure that there was water in the room and just watch the room. That was my job. If they needed something, go find it. Otherwise, stay in the room and greet the guest.
Okay.
On the day of the event, I'm just like, okay, I know security's going to be patting me down and all this type of stuff, making sure I don't have no weapons on me, all this type of stuff. The dignitary comes through, reaches out and shakes my hand, Chris, and said, hey, how you doing? I was like, oh, doing good. And said, you need anything? I'm like, oh, no, I'm good.
I'm here for
And
you.
yeah. And then they walk around and go to a little side room and kind of take a little 10-minute break. Now, this dignitary is somebody that I didn't think was going to be that jovial. It was, at the time, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay. So how did your military background help you, and how did it fail you in those situations as the diplomat?
In the military, it taught me to just do as I say, right? In military leadership, it's all about do what I say, don't ask questions, do what I say, and respect the rank. When I was in corporate working, I would say I was too respectful, thinking that everything is based upon your performance and etc. But what I came to find out later on from working at corporate is that there's nepotism, right? There's favoritism. It's not always about your
100%.
numbers. It's about how you make people feel. And that's something that I learned the hard way along the way. And at one point I was leading I was in another country, and now I'm in charge. And my supervisor said, wow, Michael, you know what? Were you in the Army? I was like, yes, I can tell, because you're just like, so like raw, like it is what it is. And it's like, yeah, with military, there's an agenda, and we create the plan, and we try to implement the plan as close as possible to that plan without taking account for, well, this person has this issue and this person has this. And it's like, no. There's no room for failure and favoritism,
Right. And honestly, that sounds like a lot of, I'm sure a bunch of the listeners are going to agree with me. It sounds like EMS in the end on that one is, on the outside, people seem like they're calm, professional, and then on the inside, they're, batteries flashing red lights, and you're expecting to run a call or go run and do what you got to do. Your entire demeanor on the outside is completely different than the demeanor on the inside.
Yes, it is. And one thing I realized too is that as a U.S. diplomat, something that people don't really know is, audience members, picture this. You are the so-called leader, but because you're from the United States of America, you fly into a country to take on your new assignment, and you have an office staff of, say, 30 finance professionals. Somebody's in charge of payments, somebody's in charge of the budget, somebody's in charge of auditing, and everybody has their job. But the top two positions is a director, which is a U.S. diplomat, and a deputy director, which is another U.S. diplomat. And these two positions rotate every, say, 3 to 4 years. Every 3 to 4 years, there's always going to be a new person at the top. So as a leader, U.S. diplomat, you fly into the country, and everybody is expecting you to know everything.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Especially if you ain't ever been there before.
Yes.
So our listeners know about burnout, the 3 a.m. calls, the silent breakdowns of the supply closet. How does leadership burnout compare? What overlaps do you see between executives and first responders or military, for instance?
I see burnout more and more. And the more I study it and the more I realize the impact, the more I want to say it's the culture of an organization. Because burnout costs organizations over $322 billion per year. And it shows
billion?
up as billion.
Wow.
Yes.
I didn't think it was going to be that high of a number.
Yep. And this is according to Gallup and Forbes study that was recently done.
Wow.
And here's how it shows up, though. Let's just say, okay, that's the number. But how does it show up? It shows up as lost productivity. We've seen it where all of a sudden somebody's performing at an 8 and then they just drop down to a 4. They can't keep going at, nonstop employee turnover and disengagement where people are like, you know what? The organization is not going to give me the tools and resources that I need, and I can't keep going. The body won't let you keep going. Your mind won't let you keep going. And if this is something I try to tell people, Chris, get your phone right now, get your phone, and you look at your phone, it's probably saying this at 50%, etc. But when it hits 20%, it's going to flash red to warn you that you need to charge it. But if you don't charge that phone, what's going to happen?
It's dead.
It's dead. It's going to power off. And that's it. That's what's happening to leaders right now. Their mental battery is powering off.
That actually a very good synopsis right there. That makes a lot of sense, and I can actually correlate the two now. That I like that. I like that synology there. That I like that. Let's see. So did you recognize yourself as burnout, or just think that you were failing in the beginning?
I did not know that I was burning out at first when I was going through it. The reason why is that I'm used to getting things done no matter what.
Right.
And there's a saying, if Michael Dillard approved it, then it's good to go. It was like, if I looked at it and I signed it, nobody questioned it. So I had a standard. Everybody knew my standard so much that if you saw a report, people didn't even ask questions. So I'm used to working at this high level nonstop, because something that they don't tell y'all as well, being a U.S. diplomat and getting promoted is brutal. It is hard to get promoted. They don't hand out no charity promotions. You competing with the best of the best of the best.
Yes, sir. You got to be. I mean, like you said, you're in charge of such a large department on foreign land that if anything goes awry, that causes an international crisis. That causes a turmoil that it's so hard to come back from. It's not even funny.
Exactly. So I'm used to adhering to the standard, and I'm trying to get promoted at the same time. So I'm getting promoted. I'm rising through the ranks. But I'm going to tell you something. I was not getting awards. I'm sitting here like I'm making all these things happen. I'm cleaning up the books, but I'm not getting awards, because here's something that I realized. When you sit in the back and you do like a support type job, which you can relate to, people don't appreciate all of the behind the scenes things that you have to do and perform to make the rest of the shiny operation go smooth.
Yes, sir.
Which is the kissing the babies, and there's no issues whatsoever, no complaints, none of that. So I'm working at this pace nonstop, and then I get to a country and I don't have enough employees. There's not enough employees to do the job. I'm managing $1 million budgets and programs, having to take care of 400 people's payroll budgets and et cetera. And
no stress at all.
No stress whatsoever. And I'm having to jump on meetings with different directors at the same time who only have a staff of 30, right? They got a staff of 30. I'm up here responsible for all 400 plus employees, finances, budgets, and programs. Wow. I couldn't do it. So I ended up getting a coaching session with a coach. And from that, it gave me the skills and tools that I needed to use in order to reduce my workload. Once I was able to implement those coaching skills and I studied on how to be a coach, my stress level reduced. I had more time with my family, with my children, and I was in a better mood. And so it wasn't until I looked back that I realized that I was burnt out.
What early signs, what early warning signs do leaders miss in themselves? Just pretty much backing off what you just said.
Here are the early warning signs. If you are waking up in the morning, checking your email, then you go to work, as soon as you hit the front door, somebody's running up to you, hey, we need you to go into this urgent meeting. You go to that unplanned meeting, then you're working through lunch, and then you get home, you eat dinner with your loved ones, and then you're on your email again, and this also repeats nonstop. And then you're starting to get a little irritated with small, simple gestures, and that's when you start to realize that, you know what, you're actually burnt out, but you probably don't realize it because you're not looking at yourself through the mirror.
Right. So did your family notice you were burnt out before you did?
They did. They noticed I was burnt out, but they were supporting because they were like, what are you going to do? Right? What's the solution? Nobody's coming to help. Power through. Like most people, they just, okay, this is what we got to endure for the job position.
I got you. They just took it. And
They
they
just
let
took
you
it.
go with it.
They let me go with it.
I got you. So in EMS, we hide behind the dark humor, the bad jokes. So what do leaders usually hide behind?
Vodka and whiskey.
Hey, that's a common denominator there.
Yeah. On the weekend, you get that special bottle of wine from X country or that whiskey, single malt whiskey or whatever the case may be. You go out to dinner, you blow off some steam with people, you sip the nice local beer, you have a barbecue grill, and you try and power up. Your battery's at 0%, so you try to get that your mental capacity back at least to 50%, so you can start to work on Monday. Half
Right.
there.
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
And that this is funny to say it this way, but at least on the truck when we're fried and we need a break, we usually just go get tacos or food. And doesn't sound like when you're at the UN or being a diplomat, you had a Whataburger drive-through to go through or McDonald's or anything. So
No, because everybody's like the pressure is there nonstop. The standard is high. The level of error is minimum.
right, I gotcha. So everyone's got a moment, the one that pretty much broke them or nearly broke them. For me, it was honestly finding a coworker hanging from the rafters on a ship. Worked with them for about 3 years. Really got really close with them. 28 days on, 28 days off out there. Seeing the guy 3 days before, thought it was just seasickness. Wound up being he had alcohol on board he wasn't supposed to have, and wound up taking his own life.
Yikes.
So that was my breaking point. What was it for you?
The breaking point for me was that I was seeing the toll it was having on my family, not being able to spend time with them. I look around, people are like, you want to come to lunch? I'm like, no, I can't go to lunch because I got to work on this. Seeing that leadership was not trying to hire more people as my deputy to help me out after asking and asking and asking, that was it. I said, if you keep working at this pace, you are going to like have a stroke. If you keep working at this pace and being responsible for everything, you're going to have a stroke. Because I knew that I was spending too much time on work stuff, but I didn't realize I was truly burnt out at that moment. But I knew that something was going to impact my health if I kept going at it, if that makes sense.
Right. So on that note, what did it look like at home for your burnout when you got home? Because it sounded like you were working yourself to death.
Yeah. So what it looked like is, and it was expected. Oh, so I wake up in the morning, they see me check my email. They see me responding to an email from my phone. Then they see me get in the car, go to work. Then if my wife tries to call me, hey, I'm about to go to another meeting, I'll call you right back. I don't call back because as soon as I get into the office, I'm in one meeting, then someone is coming, sending me a G chat saying, hey, I have this issue. Then I'm taking care of that. And then then all of a sudden there's 2 meetings on my calendar that just pops up because people want to meet today about some issue. So I go to the cafeteria, I grab something to eat, bring it back to my office, and I eat. And when I go home, I'm not in a happy mood. So they can see that I'm not happy. I'm not friendly. I'm not this jovial person that I used to be. And that's how it was showing up at home.
Gotcha. So what was the moment you couldn't fake it anymore?
The moment I couldn't fake anymore was when COVID hit. When COVID hit, it just exacerbated everything at that point in time because everything was important. I'm on the call nonstop, from 6 a.m. all the way to 7 p.m. And it was like, something has got to give. Something has got to give. And I just said, you know what? I started using my coaching techniques that I learned, to be honest with you, was to make sure I empowered the right people. And a lot of leaders make this mistake. They don't empower the right people. And something that I use when I'm coaching people is get a piece of paper and on the scale of 0 to 10, write out how motivated the people are on your team. Then from a scale of 0 to 10, write down how knowledgeable they are about the job, their technical capacity from 0 to 10. Now, everybody who scored a 7 and above in both categories, those are the people that you can empower. And I started empowering those people to go to the meeting on the behalf of our office, and I refused to go. Somebody would say, nope, I'm not going. I would decline.
Wow, that's a great idea.
I started getting my time back, and my mental battery started to become charged fuller.
Sound like you had a better work-life balance in the end as well on that. That's a lot better for your mental health as well.
Yes, and I let people make decisions. I started being like, well, how do you see it? What options do you think is available? Which one would you like to pursue? I let them solve that problem themselves and let them own the problem or to own a solution that they think was needed.
Gotcha. So what's the cost of pretending everything's fine for you and your people?
Everybody sees it. When you're burnt out, morale is down, productivity is down. You start draining everybody else's mental battery around you. People don't want to talk to you. They're looking at you from a distance, and their level of production starts to go down.
Yeah.
That's the impact.
And that's the part the world never sees. They see the medals, the titles, the crisp uniforms, not the nights you stare at the ceiling wondering if you can keep going. What's next? What can happen next? So you didn't just crawl out of burnout. You literally built a framework from it. Tell us about Lead with Impact.
From being, person that was burnt out, didn't realize I was burnt out until after I overcame it. And then I started working with other supervisors and team leads and then diplomats and executive C-suite people. I realized that there was a framework that they could benefit from that I started using myself internally that was helping me to spend more time with my family on the weekend, that helped me go to lunch, take 15-minute breaks. And so the framework is like this. Leaders need to be able to listen with empathy. When I say listen with empathy, what I mean, leader, do this. Friday, ask 2 people, what are you going to do for the weekend? Then Monday morning, I want you to circle around to those people first thing in the morning and ask them about it. How did it go? How was the baseball game for your kids? How was that trip you went to Florida? Ask them about it, just personal. When you start to listen with empathy, trust goes up and productivity goes up. That's just a small example. I'll give short ones for the sake of time.
Yes, sir. I understand that. I like that. That would honestly build a great team in the end.
Yes, indeed, it does. I was able to do a lot of great things. And then empower, we talked about empower with the chart, do that exercise. Then adaptability, which means you have to be able to adapt to the way you do work. When COVID hit, Chris, I did something that people didn't give me permission to do. COVID hit, we're working in South Africa with the local staff. And I told my team to not come in that morning. Like a couple of days before COVID hit, we were testing out the IT systems. I told my team, don't come in. Team A, don't come in at all. And then the next day, I told Team B, okay, we split it up half and half. So let me redo the story. Right. Half the team would come into work, be there physically. The other half would work from home. Then we switched it. The other half would come in, work. The other would work from home. Then 3 days later, when everything hit the fan, South Africa's lockdown was so strict, you couldn't do anything. You get arrested for being out past your curfew. I told the team, don't worry about the work that's going to be there. Focus on being there with your family. Log in for 2 hours, log back out, log in 3 hours later. Focus on your family. The work is going to be there.
Right.
The level of work never went down.
Awesome. That's great leadership right there. That's exactly what needs to happen with, honestly, the entire workforce, not just responders, not just military, not government, all of it, private sector, commercial sector, all of it, you know?
And I encourage people to go take a break. I said, look, right now I'm on the call with y'all, but I'm walking because I'm trying to exercise. Make sure you take time out to take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of your mental capacity.
Yes, sir.
And then the last one is D, stands for develop others, because employees are an organization's most valued asset. If we're not developing other leaders, then what are we doing? And something that people often say and repeat is that the test of a good leader, or better yet, a great leader, is by how many other leaders they have developed themselves personally.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have not heard that one, and I like that. So what's the difference between hearing and really listening? That's one that I think a lot of people don't quite understand.
Hearing is your supervisor, and you're walking through the hallway, and there's a group of people talking, 2 or 3 people talking, and you know it's Friday. Say, picture this. Let me make it more visual. It's Friday, 3 p.m., and you see 2 people standing talking. You walk by, you give the courtesy, oh, hey, how you doing? And you hear them talking about their weekend. You just look at them, stay there for like 30 seconds, and you keep it moving. That's hearing. Yes, you saw they were in a conversation. You pretended like you were interested, but you wasn't because you're focused on your next task, and you kept it moving. Listening is you walk by, you see your team, they're in a fun, playful mood. Enjoy. Let them know it's okay to have fun. It's not always working at level 10 on that project, because you know how they know the saying goes, people want to know if you care or not.
Very true.
And so most leaders are just hearing. Organizations are just hearing because they see people are burnt out, but they're not hiring another person. They see people are burnt out, but they're not providing leadership training. Like some of the stuff I'm teaching today, if you think about it, most people don't go through a leadership program that gives them tools and resources that they can use to be at least 20% better.
Yes, sir. Very true. So on that note, how do you empower people without burning yourself out?
So when you empower the right people, you take it off your plate. For example, if you are responsible for audits, you're responsible for audits, and your team needs to go audit, say, the EMT division in X county.
Right.
Well, you as a leader, you don't have to go to that audit every single day to do the testing. You can go for the entry meeting. Hey, everybody, our team is going to be here. John is going to be in charge. If you need anything, let him know. Otherwise, I'll come back and take a look at the findings. We'll work with you all, and we'll have an exit interview in 3 weeks. So now you signal to everybody that, hey, all the issues, all the concerns are going to go through John and work through John. You have delegated your authority and power over to John. Now, when you do that, you let John run with it. If you need to, you can have a follow-up meeting with him, a check-in meeting once a week. On Thursday, hey, how's it going? Okay, do you need any help? Nope. Okay. Have you thought about this? Yep. Okay, good. All right, good job. Now, you come to that exit interview because John already knows. He needs to send you like a summary, what to expect, and et cetera, because you've been developing John along the way. He's seeing your type of work, your standard. So now you've been briefed. You go to that exit meeting, introduce yourself again. Hey, everything is going well. All right. John has been doing such a great job running the project. John, can you go ahead and kick us off? You see, you let everybody know it's John's rodeo, not yours.
Right.
And by doing that, my point is, you're not stressing on every single project that your office is running and managing. You're only focused on when John comes to you and says, look, I ran into this issue, which is 2 problems, but not the whole process.
Right.
So that's how you save time. You also save time by empowering the right person. That's a whole nother workshop in itself, because people say, yeah, I tried to empower people, but I end up having to do it myself. Well, I already know what happened. If you looked at the quadrant and you scored those people, is that person an 8 in motivation, but a 3 in technical knowledge and proficiency.
Right.
Because if they were never trained how to do the job properly, because they're new, they can't perform at the same level of somebody who has 3 years of experience and who's motivated. It won't happen. You need to take that person that's an 8 in motivation, but a 2 or 3 in technical proficiency, and take somebody else on your team to sit with them to get them up to speed, to train them on their skills and weaknesses. And then soon that person is going to be an 8 in motivation and a 7 in technical capacity. And now they can take on another project that you are managing.
I gotcha. So on that, I hear that and I think, listen to your partner, empower the rookies, adapt when the patient crashes, develop yourself so you don't flatline emotionally or go offline in the end. The framework just works as well in the back of the rig as it does in a boardroom, and is what it sounds like to me.
It does, because, yep.
So how do you stay in the fight, in leadership, in life, without burning yourself down or burning down your house?
You reset. The number one thing you have to do is you have to guard your time. I became an expert at guarding my time. I made sure that you was not going to put an urgent meeting on my calendar. I would hit that decline button so fast. You have to protect your time. If you don't protect your time, you're going to be going from one meeting to the next. And when you sit in the meeting, you start saying to yourself, I didn't have to be in this meeting. John could have taken care. Sarah could have managed this issue. Actually, it's not even my issue. It's Sarah's division that she manages. They're trying to tell on her. They're trying to overstep Sarah's authority.
Oh, wow. So what are 3 quick resets when the walls start closing in on you?
Take a 10 to 15 minute break in the morning around 10:30. Take another break around 2:30. Put these on your calendar. You want to put these micro recharge breaks on your calendar. Those are the times when you're charging your mental capacity. Just like your cell phone, you have times in which you charge your cell phone throughout the day. That is the time where you just sit for 15 minutes. You do nothing. You just listen to your favorite song. You read your favorite book. You do what you go for a walk. You call a friend. That's what you're going to do.
I gotcha.
Next,
So-
what you're going, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Wasn't trying to interrupt you. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I'm good.
So if a medic, a cop, or even an executive sat across from you today, what would you tell them to start doing tomorrow?
I would tell them, go look at your calendar and delete meetings that's on there that you don't know what it's about. Delete it. Ask the person, hey, what's the purpose of this meeting? And when they tell you the purpose of the meeting, you decline it or you send somebody else to that meeting. Find 3 meetings this week that you're going to decline or that you're going to send somebody else to that meeting. Find 3. That's what I would say.
Wow. Okay. That sounds like a big way to help yourself in the end as well.
It helps you because here's what it does. It does multiple things for you that saves you time in the end. One, it's like an outlet, right? Most outlet has, 2 outlets, right? Two adapters where you can plug into. You can only go to so many meetings at one time. You can only be working on so many projects at the same time. You can't. Otherwise you're going to be waiting in line trying to get charged up. And as a result, you don't have enough time. It comes down to you don't have enough time. And so what you're doing is you're saying, look, let me give some of the things that are draining my time and my energy to people that can manage it. And something that I do as well, I tell leaders, but they don't like to do this because they think that they're helping themselves, but they're hurting themselves. When you get a new employee that just started on the job, don't give them work the first week. Have them read the regulations, have them sit with someone, have them walk around and talk to other divisions, other partners, other entities the first week. Because now, week 2, when you give them a small assignment, now they can reference the training manual. They can realize that, oh, this person from procurement is asking for this. I remember I spoke to somebody. I don't understand what they're talking about. Let me go walk to that procurement person that I met last week. Now they're starting to understand the why behind some of the process that you have in place.
that's honestly something that I would have never thought of. That makes a lot of sense, and that would help a bunch of leadership and a bunch of companies as well. And again, that's where the culture screws us all in the end. We all in EMS, we brag about 72-hour shifts like trophies. We laugh about crying in the shower, but really that's just slow motion collapse. We're burning out. We're not able to do it anymore. So burnout's become a buzzword, but for people living in it, it's survival. What's the final word for the medic on a 24-hour shift, the cop on midnight, or the executive staring at an empty battery bar?
The final word I have for them is to pause and breathe. As soon as you have a moment, you get done dealing with that crisis, this life or death. Now, I want you to just sit for 10 or 15 minutes to reset. Go get your favorite cookie. Go read that famous book that you like. Go and listen to your favorite song. Just break away from the monotony, from all the stuff that's just taken away from you, the reports that you have to turn in, the gossip, the person who's trying to get you in trouble. Just break away from that for 15 minutes as soon as possible, because as you know, every percentage of increasing your mental battery can help you go that much further. It's like when your phone is dead and you just like, hey, can I just charge for 5 minutes before you get on that airplane? That 5% extra boost is the difference between when you get off the airplane and you land at your next destination. When you power it up, you have just enough time to make that phone call to tell your ride that you have arrived.
Yeah, that's very true. So what do you wish someone had told you 20 years ago for all the stuff you know now?
I wish someone would have told me how to lead with impact, like really lead with impact. Because I made a mistake not listening to my team. I was Mr. Accountable until I got that 360 feedback. They say, yeah, he's hitting the benchmarks. He can get it done. He's changed the organization, but at a cost. Being more, empowering more people sooner. When I reached the one country I was managing so many people, I wish I would empower people sooner right out the gate. And adapting how I view things, being Mr. Accountable versus developing other leaders. So I would say I wish I would have had this framework earlier on, lead with impact, look at it from that lens, and I would have had a better work-life balance.
That's amazing. So Michael Dillard's a veteran, diplomat, leadership coach, and proof that burnout doesn't care about your job title. If you want to learn more about his work or schedule a courtesy call, visit michaeldillardspeaks.com or his LinkedIn or his Linktree at linktree.ee/Michael Dillard. Michael, thanks for being here and reminding us that staying silent isn't strength, it's survival suicide. This is Dispatch and Dysfunctional, where the worst calls and the hardest breakdowns sometimes make the best stories. Until next time, stay sharp, take care of yourself before the job takes it out of you. Any final words, Michael?
Final words. Anybody that's suffering with burnout and just wants somebody to talk to them, help lead them through a small situation or big situation, hit the link, schedule a free courtesy 30-minute chat, courtesy of Dispatch and Dysfunctional Podcast.
And I will be linking all of that into my podcast, into Apple and all that. Spotify will be in the description. So I appreciate your time, Michael. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording.
If you think it's too heavy to say it anyway. It beats a eulogy. You don't have to apologize for surviving however you can. You're not the reason things are heavy, you're the reason they're still moving. Need support right now? Text or call 988 or visit 988lifeline.org. You're not alone, not in this job, not in this fight. Want to share your story or connect? Visit critical-run.com or message the Facebook page Dispatched and Dysfunctional. We're building this for you, for them, for all of us.